Wes, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining me.
Big Mike, what's up, homie? How you doing?
I'm doing well. I appreciate you carving out some time. I've been looking forward to this. I've seen your name floating around a ton. We have a bunch of mutual friends, many of whom you work with. And I saw you on Bradley's podcast, finally started digging in, and I just got fascinated with you, your story, your businesses. So I appreciate you carving out some time and shedding some value for us.
Oh, this is what I love the most. Like really being valuable to people in the way that changed my life. What the fuck else are we supposed to do as men other than heal ourselves, find some answers on that hero's journey, bring it back to the world?
Boom. So for people that maybe they haven't come across you in your journey yet, give us the spark notes, who you are, where you coming from, what are you about, and what are you doing now?
Okay. Wes Watson, CEO of Watson Fit, 8-figure annually coaching corporation that I built in the last 4.5 years after exiting California State Prison, where I did a 10-year stretch. So I did 10 years in prison, got out, and just knew I had found it. I found the answer, how to get out of my way, mentally, physically, spiritually, and then finally financially. So I know that that's our purpose as men, as individuals on this planet, to heal ourselves and teach others to do the same. And the reality is that we're all not so different. So I just set up my system and I came out and I didn't give a fuck about being all crazy successful or anything. I've always wanted that. That's why I went to prison in the first place, was chasing money the wrong way. So I've always wanted success, but that wasn't the driver behind this. I came out and I got online and I just said, look, you guys, I'm not a fucking wreck anymore. I don't have all the negativity, all the fucking complexes, the anxieties, the depressions, all the things that are fucking people up out here and ruining their lives. I don't have any of that anymore. And let me show you how I combated it. Because when I went into prison, I had everything that everyone had. I had drug and alcohol issues. I was overweight. I didn't like my body. I was super negative. I didn't have a path or a purpose. And I found all that once I really sat down and got real with myself, got in the mirror, called myself out. And we all know that's what growth is, when you call yourself out of your own bullshit.
100%. So you mentioned that chasing money the wrong way is what got you in there. Like, what was your relationship to money early on? I guess let's start there. What did that relationship look like?
I grew up on the movies, man. Scarface, Goodfellas, like all the drug dealer movies. And I grew up, I was smoking weed as a kid and I was like, fuck that. I want to smoke for free. So then I just, instead of buying grams all the time, I bought a quarter. I was like business minded from a young age. I bought a quarter. I flipped it until where I was buying pounds, getting 10 packs, 20 packs, 100 packs. And now I'm like living in $1 million condo down the street from here. And as a kid, before I went to prison, and I'm driving a Range Rover. I know I'm going to get busted because of the way I lived. I was violent. I had large amounts of money, large amounts of drugs. And I just knew my time was coming. But I really thought that's what a badass motherfucker was. Some guy who didn't give a fuck. He would do anything to get that money. He was assertive. He was violent. He was aggressive. Like everything movies tell you about that motherfucker who you're like the villain or whatever. That's a bad motherfucker. I was trying to be the baddest. And I ended up where the baddest motherfuckers live. California State Prison, GP, level 4 yard, which is nothing to fucking play with. I mean, in a level 4 yard, us two being white guys, since it's racially segregated, we can't even fight each other. If we wanted to fight each other, we'd have to just stab each other. Like there's rules in California prison that are so heinous and just so fucking disgusting that it's a miracle I even made it out alive. Like it's just when you walk in, there's literally the person who has the block. If it's me and you roll up, I'm going to tell you, listen, anything I ask you, the answer is yes. This is a dictatorship. It's not a fucking democracy. The answer is yes. Anything I ask you. And if you don't do it, it's happening to you. That's the reality of this place.
Okay. I want to dig into some of that stuff for sure.
It's horrible.
Prior to all that going down and you ending up in prison, do you think that money mindset would have shifted if you didn't experience that?
I just grew up like lower middle class. There was always bill problems. We weren't fucking super broke like people telling these stories about roaches in their cereal and shit. I don't even know if any of those are fucking true. I mean, but like literally we grew up struggling and money was always an issue. There was a bad aura around our financial status. And that's okay. Like, who gives a fuck? If you have money problems right now, you're listening to this, change that shit. Listen to someone like me and Mike. Like, listen to anyone in the area you work in to level up. There's mentors that want to help you, but like in those days, there wasn't the internet. There was none of this. My parents didn't fucking know. I don't hold anything against them. I don't give a fuck. But I was just drawn to want to solve the problems. I've been a problem solver. I was fucking researching how to get a good credit score at 12, like writing Experian and TransUnion. Like, how am I going to do this? I was just a planner. Like, I needed success. Like, I needed it. And I went about it the easy way. And that's what I teach people now. The easy way always fails. And doing it, you don't necessarily have to do it the hardest fucking way, but there's more pride attached to really doing it the difficult way that validates you, instead of taking the easy route that causes you to live a life based on comfort and then fucks you in the end. A lot of these guys don't realize by getting it the easy way, they become real comfortable. Their vision is lacking. Their work ethic is lacking. And by having high expectations and a low work ethic, they're unfulfilled. And in prison, I had low expectations, basically no expectations other than feeling good, and a high work ethic, which caused massive fulfillment. So I came out of prison just fulfilled with the man I was creating and who I'd become. And I just started to develop these beliefs and these quotes and these topics that I share with everyone, these gems, where it's like, life is not about appearing and acquiring. It's about being and becoming. And then the stupid motherfuckers are like, well, then why do you have stuff? It's like, bro, the man I've become acquired stuff. Detachment isn't not owning anything, genius. Detachment is not letting anything own you. So I'm trying to teach people that a lot of their shit's just foolish. Like, you gotta live in the world and you gotta be successful. You gotta take care of your family. You gotta plan ahead.
It's always interesting to me how people tend to fall into such extremes.
Oh yeah.
Like, at the surface, that's a ridiculous comment. Like, to think that detachment means that you can never buy anything that matters to you, whether it's a watch, a car, like, it's just absurd.
Absurd, disgusting.
So
the best one I always love is, you can't, why all that money? You can't take it with you. I'm like, what? You have kids, motherfucker. Did you just really say that? Like, the dumbest shit I've ever heard. Why? You can't take it with you. I have dependents, bitch. The fuck you talking about? This is someone who has kids who says that. It's like, dude, can I just smack the shit out you right now? Like, you selfish bitch. The reason everyone sucks at everything is because they're so selfish and their ego is so big. In all reality, overweight people and broke people are the most superficial, because they tried to make money, but they quit because they didn't get it quick enough. They tried to lose the weight, but they quit because they didn't get the weight off quick enough. They were only about the results. Me, I show up for how I feel putting the work in every day, because I don't look no different year to year going to the gym. I look no different. I'm the same to anybody who's looking. But why do I show up every day? Because I need the mind right. I know that your frequency is what you frequently see. So if I raise my frequency, my world is different. My whole world is different. People go in the gym with that, oh, I'm tired, fuck, I don't feel that good. They leave the gym smiling, holding the door for the person they hate. It's just what it is, bro.
Yeah. I don't know what it was about how you just shared that, but it completely clicked to me, because I think the gym is a perfect example. You're in the gym 10, 15 years, you're consistent, your physique isn't changing that much. It's incremental, and you could probably make similar parallels in business too, but it's just fall in love with the journey.
Falling in love with the fact that I'm going just to feel better. Like, the man who takes more pride in the steps it takes to get the result than the result itself, he can't be stopped. I take more pride in the fact that I will show up and give it my all every day. And that fulfills me every day. So every day I get what I was after. These superficial fucks who quit and say we're wrong for wanting abs or wanting millions or whatever, they're hating on what they gave up on. And that's just the reality. A lot of these phrases and all this shit is just made up to take people's power and influence away. And a lot of society just fell victim to it so bad. They just fell right into the trap.
I ranted about this on my Instagram story the other day. Yeah. It's like the loudest boos always come from the cheap seats, the people that aren't worthy or aren't even willing to get into the arena, and frankly, they're talking shit about results they didn't get from the work they didn't put in. And then they want to rationalize convincing you shouldn't get the results, because if you get the results, then it really invalidates their BS beliefs.
So good.
You know, one thing I'm super curious about, and you wrote about this in the book a little bit, but I mean, everything that you've built afterwards, you clearly had, I don't know what the right word is, spiritual awakening, like a lot of time with self to develop a lot of these belief structures. Like, what about, is it just simply the time to be with yourself that allows
100%, 100%. Every answer will come to you during adversity. So during times of adversity, a conscious man gets more conscious. During times of adversity, an unconscious man gets less conscious. So someone who's not developed enough, when problems happen, they go run to booze, they go destroy their life because they're not conscious enough to even take the event correctly. But a conscious man, he takes problems and he's a true alchemist. He turns the world into words. These words have power, and he uses that power. He brings an emotional motivation to that power of these events, and he holds himself to his outcome. So like me saying, become the man you always needed, that means so much to me. Like me saying our life's purpose is to create the man you admire and give him to the world, that means so much to me. And you could go into deeper, people who've studied growth of humans, and like Maslow's law was self-actualization and then self-transcendence. I can see if people are in an actualization phase on their Instagram and it's more like me, watch what I'm doing. And then you can see the people who are 15, 20, 30 years in, they're at a phase of self-transcendence. Everything they do is outward. So like everything I do, when you watch my page, people can feel and sense that I'm doing it for them, because I don't need to do all the stuff I do. I'm really well off. I'm already fit. I don't need to live this way, but I need to show everyone that it's possible to do. It's very enjoyable, and sacrifice creates paradise, not more comfort. They really believe that when they kick their feet up, they're going to feel good. And I'm going to tell them 9 times out of 10 is that's where the pain kicks in. That perpetual pleasure seeking always ends in demise.
So for the people that are listening, that like, because I'd imagine, if you disagree, please let me know. Like, most people typically get started on any journey because they want the result, right? But the people who truly get it, my opinion, is those who fall in love with the process in that pursuit. So what, because I think people hear this stuff all the time. You got to fall in love with the process. You have to fall in love with the journey. What advice do you have for people that maybe they're still fantasizing about the result and they haven't really embraced
every pursuit? Money, relationships, physique, aesthetics, money, and relationships. Every pursuit that we do in life is its own entity, and they all start off immature and superficial. So your first job, you weren't like, I'm going to create generational wealth. Your first paycheck, you're like, I'm buying a Game Boy, motherfucker, for me. I'm getting my fucking video game, motherfucker. So, and then once you're 15 years down the road, you're like, okay, generational wealth. And the same thing, the first encounter with a woman, you weren't like, I'm getting married to her. You're like, I just want to kiss her. Like, it was superficial. Like, you wanted something. It was all about you. That's what fitness is too. The first few months and year or whatever, it's superficial at first. You want the results, and that's okay. But as you go down the path and walk it, you mature with the process, and you finally see what it's really about. So everything starts off immature and then matures.
As that matures, was there a specific, if you look back on your journey, is there a specific moment that you can think back to where that finally shifted and you're like, wow, it's not actually about that end result?
Yeah, once you get it, like as you start to become what you were after. So when I first fell in prison, I'm like, I got to be 220, have 20-inch arms, and do sets of 20 pull-ups while being fully covered in fucking Cali prison tats. Like, that was the baddest motherfucker in my eyes. And I just want to be the baddest motherfucker. That was the first thing. And now that you look at my journey, it all makes sense to why I'm sitting here today. So first I wanted that. And then throughout all that struggle, all that adversity, creating and all those early wake-ups, all those workouts, everything, I started to unlock little fucking just realizations of what I'm really doing. And that's how I started writing a book and writing the way I do, and all my shit was throughout the journey. My mind started opening up, because during adversity, whether self-inflicted adversity like working out or unavoidable circumstantial adversity, you're forced to face the problem. So I'm conscious at the time. So I'm forcing adversity, self-inflicting adversity on my day, making it harder. So I'm making myself more and more conscious of a being. So then I'm growing mentally and physically at the same time. So then I'm picking, like, I just was drifted towards like Napoleon Hill books and like other self-help books. They just landed in my lap. Stephen Covey, Steve Siebold, other books like this, and then quote books. I was really drawn to quote books, and I'll just read quotes from everybody, the wisdom of the ages. And this is where I connected two dots, which mean a lot to me. So I saw that everybody from the dawn of time said the same shit in different words, and there's no way that they could have been in congruence. Like, these are just people from Confucius to Ben Franklin. They're saying the same thing at different times in different words. So to me, this was proof of infinite intelligence, proof of a collective consciousness. And so then I read Napoleon Hill's book, and it said the gateway, gratitude kicks down the door to higher intelligence. And so I would just always focus, even in the worst of times, on being grateful. And gratitude is action to me. So the actions I partake in to build the life of my dreams, no matter where I'm at, proved how grateful I was, and offering to the universe, and offering to my highest self. And I just was really able to tap into the source and stay tapped into infinite intelligence, to where I felt zero separateness. I felt oneness, even in the hole, even in the shoe, even alone for over a year in a cell. Not a cellie, no one, alone for a year, working out, just not even able to come out and take a shower, like literally having to bird bath on the toilet. I would do workouts, and I wasn't in isolation, even though they put me in isolation. I wasn't in isolation, because separateness was truly an illusion to me. I was in solitude, and in solitude, it's different. So in solitude, I was connected to a collective whole that I spoke to, which is you, which is everybody. I spoke to the world, and people I knew who were suffering more than me, even in my worst of times, in prison with nothing, supposedly suffering. I've made myself so strong. I was gifting love and strength to people I know who had it worse, just because their perspective was flawed. So I elevated past everything external that was meant to hold me down. So obviously coming out here is very easy to do that. When everybody out here is letting the sensory world compress them, I'm giving compassion during the worst of times to elevate past it.
Would you look at, like, that year is interesting to me. Would you look at your time in solitude or your time in the shoe as like almost like a trampoline that propelled you forward from a mindset perspective?
The biggest, because you fought it at first. At first you were like, fuck this. No, what the fuck is happening? I'm going to lose my life in here. Because I went to the shoe for an A1 offense, which is in-house murder, attempted murder, or battery with a weapon. So I went to the shoe for an A1 offense, which was a 14-month shoe term that you do 11 months, 8 days on, 85%. And so I'm sitting there, and for the first month, I'm thinking I'm getting a life sentence. Like, they're going to give me another strike, because the pictures were heinous of the altercation I had with another inmate. And I just thought my life was over, because I already had strikes, and this is the last one. I'm done. Once they told me they didn't pick it up, I had some breathing room, and I was like, I don't even care. I have a date. I'm good. Like, I'm getting out someday. I was still 6 years from the gate, 5-6 years from the gate. And I just prepped every day. I said there wasn't enough time to be the man and father I needed to be when I got out. From those days, I was already deep in my growth phase, but I would have back steps like everybody else, because nothing is just purely fucking, nobody just escalates right to the top. We have little back steps, but at that moment, after that event, and then one little one after that, where I got high again, is when I said, I don't even have enough time to create the man my future family needs. I have to start today. And that's what I tell you kids and you people watching who want a great life. Don't wait. Start today, creating the man that your future wife and kids need, because you don't even have enough time. If you run into him 3 years from now, you aren't prepared enough. If you run into them 7 years from now, you're still not prepared enough. Start preparing now by being the absolute man you admire in every way. First, by removing all regrets from your life. Like, regret's a guideline to remove. Remove all vices, use regret as a guideline, and then just create the individual that you admire, that you would look at and say, I like that. That's the guy I would listen to. Make sure you create someone you would listen to.
I love that. It's what's always interesting to me about the conversation about like becoming the best version of you is I feel like people overcomplicate it. And I feel like we always think like, oh man, I'm going to be that person 10 years from now. It's like, dude, why? Just get clear on what that person does and start doing it. And it might take you a minute to get there, but you're going to be a hell of a lot closer.
The best part is you never get there. And that's how fucking admirable the journey is. You'll never see who you are. People have to tell you. Like, I was in a field the other day right here. There's like food trucks by my house right here. Like 300-400 people there on a Saturday. Standing there getting food for my wife. And some guy comes up, he says, "What do I got to do, bro?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "How do I do it?" I'm like, "Do what?" He's like, "You obviously know what you're doing." He saw me pull up in the Rolls Royce Cullinan in the SUV, but then I'm standing there jacked, and he's like, I love people like that. First off, humble people who will ask. They will make it to the top so quick because their ego kept them. Their ego didn't keep them from fucking winning. I used to say that when I was a drug dealer. I used to say that because people didn't want to buy their drugs off me because I wasn't the guy you wanted to owe money to. Like, I wasn't him. Like, I'll fucking come ruin your life. Everybody. Like, you better pay the fucking money. So that's why I went to prison for. Someone didn't pay the money. So they fucking got a lot of time. But the reality is I used to say that back then, like, drop your ego and raise your bank account, you know? I get it the cheapest, motherfucker, because I fuck with them motherfuckers nobody will fuck with either. Because I'm willing to do this shit. And I even still say that today. Drop your ego and elevate yourself. Like, literally. A lot of people are just letting their pride and their menial work ethic get in the fucking way.
I think that's one of the most important lessons, at least for me. And I resonate so powerfully with it because I think we were talking before we pressed record about the parallels between fitness and business. And in the gym, that's so apparent, right? We all want to put up bigger weight, but then if we don't do it properly, we're freaking ego lifting with shit form, getting no results, no muscle, no strength, and getting injured. And what it really takes is taking that extra plate off, figuring out how to do it properly and moving from there. I experienced the same exact thing in my business where all of the work that I was resisting, it took an ego hit for me to get out of my own way, ask for the help. And once we did, we built that system and then we went to the moon. But I wanted to posture for too long. I needed to get out of my own freaking way. It's so interesting to me how they are so relevant in both areas.
Yeah, failure is an integral part of success. But I mean, why go through all these failures that are unneeded if people before you can just circumvent the process? I mean,
100%. You already mentioned the regret thing, and I'm super curious about this. So, number one, I'd love to. I think your content has gone viral about your comments on Brad Lee's podcast around vices. I'd love for you to share that here. But
oh yeah, that did good. Like, that went like 350,000 views on his page, and most of his normally go like 50,000. And it's because like people won't stand up on these topics, and I just feel really fucking driven about these vices because I've lost too many people. I've used everything, and it's just anybody who wants to still drink or do drugs or use alcohol in front of their people. I mean, they're always selfish about it. I don't have a problem. Oh, I don't have a problem. But if you're the leader and you're supposed to set an example, then you're setting a poor example for other people. I mean, someone like The Rock, who has 100 million followers, how many lives got trashed by you selling that tequila because they wanted to be like you? Like, no lives are getting trashed because Wes Watson's like, get up earlier, eat cleaner, be more positive, and work out. Like, how many millions of people are going to fall victim to drinking too much of that shit and just crashing their car or fucking up their marriage or whatever? Honestly, I can't support anything. Let's just say, is alcohol building society greater or breaking it down as a whole? I mean, there's no one's like, oh yeah, alcohol totally built society into a greater place. No, it's just a way for us to fucking not have so much fucking like everyone's escaping. It's just what it is.
So that part is interesting to me. The putting it, not like putting, I guess putting it on a pedestal, right? And spreading that example through your platform.
Well, everything about me is self-transcendence, because in prison, if one person can't do it, no one can. Like if you came in prison, there's like a table right here. And like we share the table with the homies or something. And you put your bag on it. I say, why's your fucking bag on the table? And you're like, I just put my bag on the table. Go put it on your rack, fool. If everybody put their bag on the table out there, nobody would have anywhere to sit. You're fucking stupid. Stop that shit. And the thing is, like, if everybody can't do it, then you can't. And not everybody can drink. So you're setting a poor example. And like everyone can do the shit I'm talking about at their own level. Like nobody's better for fucking imbibing an alcohol. It's never been supportive to anybody's growth. It's actually one of the lowest frequency substances known to man.
Yeah. The frequency conversation is super interesting to me. And something that I'm not educated enough yet.
I study like frequency charts to like think about the actions that get us into like these certain ranges, and then how to come, like guilt and shame are at the bottom of the lowest frequency emotional states. I mean, anger is the top of the lowest frequencies. Like the low frequencies, anger is the top, and pride is right above anger. But neutrality is 4 steps above pride, and then love is right above neutrality, and then obviously enlightenment is at the top. But like when I leave the gym, I'm in a state of enlightenment. It's flow state. Nothing exists. I'm at complete peace. That song that I didn't even like when I was going to the gym is now the best song on the planet. And that's how you know that, like, it's you, motherfucker. Your frequency is fucked. The world is not as it is. The world is as you are. So if you're sitting there going to your spouse, your friends, and you're like picking the problems in them, you're at a low frequency. You're seeing all negative. If you see negative in anyone and you don't want to grab them and guide them politely and like the right way, like obviously I use compression in my tactics, but my goal is to guide people the correct way to where they need to go. But I mean, if you see negative and you don't have a solution, you just want to criticize with nothing constructive behind it, you're just a fucking asshole operating at a low frequency, and you don't realize that your frequency is dictating your perspective, thus altering your lens on the world around you. And now you're seeing everything from a flawed state.
On the regret topic, so the question that I found I like kept coming to mind for me as I was reading the book is how to distinguish between regret and resistance. And here's what I mean by this. If something is not common to me, or something is not exactly like every day, or something that I'm not wildly comfortable doing, but I feel like it's in alignment with who I want to be, right? That resistance, I feel like that almost gets tightly coupled with regret at times. So I'm curious, because I love the idea of using regret as like your compass almost.
Yeah, for me, regret is like, I knew I did, or like someone who's trying to be sober, they drink and they're like, fuck, I really regret that. Or for me, like when someone tests me and I lash back at them, when I knew that validating, like if someone comes at you in an angry response in their emotion, and then you don't want them to come at you that way, but then you still lash back at them. Now you've just validated to them that that's what we do when we're emotional and feeling uncomfortable. So, I mean, I like to teach people through my actions. So when someone lashes out at me, if I don't want them doing that, then I have to be stoic and I have to be unmoved. And I have to say, hey, I don't even want to engage that way. Here's my answer to it. Like whatever you want to take from it. But if I mean to actually intentionally be rude to them or hurt them with my words, then I'll regret that. So true regret, like stuff that you distinctly regret doing is what I mean. Like removing those big things, our character flaws, our drugs and alcohol, our overeating. I mean, the real vices. Like I refer to anything as a vice as something that's instantly gratifying and then regret ensues. So I mean, anger is a huge vice to me. It's so gratifying for me to just fucking flash on someone and tell them everything they're not, watch them pee themselves, and then tell them I'll bash their fucking face in and like literally have them scared to death. Like that is the most gratifying thing to me my whole life for some fucking reason. Like I want to put fear in people. And like, I had to learn that that is so not the way to be, but that goes along with Peterson. You have to be an absolute monster and then be willing to control it. I'm a fucking killer, bro, straight through and through, but I love like a motherfucker too. So I had to find that balance, subdue that killer instinct, and only save it for that rarity that I'm willing to go back for, you know. Anything else is not worth it. So I mean, but it's just that real regret where you're like, I don't ever want to do that again. And I'm 100% positive about it.
Got it. Yeah. I think, at least for me, the distinction to be clear about is like, what's in alignment with how I want to be.
Yeah.
Right. Because I think the reason that that line gets blurred is because we get a response that we don't want, or it evokes an emotional response that we don't want to feel based on someone's reaction. So the example you used, the perfect example, we live in a wildly polarizing world right now. You share your opinion about something on social media and you get a response that people want to get volatile about. And internally you're like, oh, wow, I don't want to feel this way. But that doesn't mean that operating that way was out of alignment. Does that make sense?
Yeah, see, I always say, like, if you even see negativity or you want to react back to negativity, you're actually in a low frequency negative mindset, because that means your two frequencies are vibrating. If you're in a stage of enlightenment and someone drops on your workout post that you have bad form, you'd be like, oh, I feel bad for that guy. But then if you're actually getting at a lower frequency due to like negative incessant thoughts, some poor eating, any actions that are out of alignment with the man you're creating will drop you down to a lower frequency, because then you're regretful of what the steps you're taking, because you're not moving forward in a progressive manner towards what you want to create. You're not aligned with your goals. So once you're not aligned with your goals, you project how you feel inside. So those that don't reflect, they project. I'm in a constant state of internal reflection because I did so much time in isolation. So I'm in a constant state of internal reflection. So I know if I ate pancakes right now and I like to be straight ripped 24/7, if I just wolf down a bunch of pancakes with a bunch of butter and syrup that aren't aligned with my macros and wasn't my plan for today, I'm going to feel like shit about myself. I'm going to be way quicker to treat you like an asshole, my wife, or anybody else. So I keep myself so aligned with my goals to then keep me structured inside, so that if I'm vibing high and I feel good about me, I'm projecting that onto the world.
Yeah. So you mentioned the gym. What are some other things, like some other tools that you use to get to that level of vibration?
I mean, becoming the source of what you seek will always work. So if you want inner peace, because like self-absorbed thoughts will drag you down, because you're not supposed to be so consumed about yourself and your thoughts. So like anytime you start to like beat up on yourself inside or go negative, this will lessen your frequency. But if you go work on someone else, you can't even be absorbed with yourself. So becoming the source of what you seek. So if you need peace at that time, call your friend who's struggling, get into their problems, like solve them and I only learned that because I have calls like every hour throughout the day. So I'll start to get negative in like my normal life, because really boredom leads to desire, leads to vices. And we're bored when we're not on purpose. If we're not working on our purpose, then Mike and Wes, the ego and the desire, take over. And so now I'm operating from a low frequency state, which is desire. That desire is unmet and I keep dropping. And then, so then between my calls, I usually want a fucking cheeseburger and can't have it because I diet hard, you know, whatever. I actually can eat anything I want basically, but I know I would just not feel right because it's not supporting like what I preach and who I am and everything. People are like, you don't ever eat pizza or foods like that. I carb up every once in a while before like arm day or something, but I'll notice my clarity will go.
Yeah.
But the main thing is between calls, I'll start to be human more. I'll start to not be in flow state like we are now. Right now we're in flow state. I don't know about my bills. I don't have to use the bathroom. I don't want a hamburger. I can't have any of that right now because I'm existing in a place past Wes Watson and I'm in flow state. So once this flow state ends, I'll be back in the sensory world, which is everything everybody knows, the tangible world, all my shit. And I'll start to desire things of that world and that nature. That desire will be unmet. I'll drop to a lower frequency and then I'll get back on a call and I'll work on someone else's problems and it'll bring me back to flow state. So you really, during peak physical performance, a negative internal state and peak physical performance cannot coexist. Nobody's ever been in a marathon on mile 7 and been like, I'm having anxiety. This is fucking crazy. Nobody's ever been on burpee 300, like doing it, just massacring and be like, well, I'm really depressed right now. You can't have those. They can't exist. Really, neurosis, which is anxiety, depression, and mild mental illnesses, is a side effect of pain avoidance. Carl Jung found this out a long time ago. Dr. Jordan Peterson talks about it. But anytime you're facing pain, you can't have those. They cannot coexist. So you pussies out there who think that shit's real all the time, next time your doctor tries to hand you a prescription, tell them to hand you a bottle with pieces of paper in it. Have each piece of paper be an exercise you can't pull off, but you're going to try your hardest. And open up that bottle where those pills were, pull it out, and it says 250 burpees. I guarantee if you were going to take a Xanax and you took the 250 burpee tag, that one would do better with no downside. It'll work every time. People in prison, they don't have these things. You can't have them. You can't have those problems in prison. They won't even let you. Like, you're going to go fucking do what you have to do. That's it. There's no time for that. Like I told a guy on a call earlier, he's like, man, I'm really suffering from some self-doubt. Well, you know, if you're doing the work, you can't doubt yourself, right, motherfucker? Action alleviates fear and doubt, stupid. You're doubting yourself because you gave yourself enough time to doubt yourself. Wes don't even have enough time to, I don't even have the luxury of doubting myself. I go from podcast to call to sale, like everything aligned to workout to fucking family, everything aligned with what I want in my life. I don't even have time to doubt myself. Man, you got time to doubt yourself? You're a fucking, that's affluenza. You're suffering from affluenza. Your life's so good you have time to have anxiety and doubt yourself, motherfucker.
I love, I completely agree too, because it raises the necessity. For me, it raises the necessity, right? I was on a call right before this with a bunch of our clients, and there was a split second where I thought, wow, like, am I showing up at a 10? What if I don't perform? And then I looked at the faces of every single one of the dudes on the call, and I'm like, there's no time for that.
No.
Like, we have to show up at a 10 or as close as humanly possible to it, because people paid us good money and we're going to get them way more value than they expect. It's just what we do.
It's just, it's a necessity of a man to provide value. Like, all I ever wanted was to bring people massive value. And so how do you bring people value? Well, it's a mirror. It's not a fucking window. How do you bring yourself value? Well, then that works for them. Done. Everyone thinks that we're all special little fucking snowflakes who need personal shit. They're like, is this cookie cutter? Yeah, motherfucker. I did the cookie cutter shit and it worked. I just did it better than you. And I didn't fucking tap out. It's like, here, look at the program. What do you want to change? What do you want to change? Let's make it not cookie cutter. Well, I can't do this and I can't do that. Perfect. I'm going to put these in there. Now it's custom. There's no fucking difference. There's no difference. Whether you stick to your diet or not, or the intensity you put in these sets are the only thing that's going to matter. As long as you're hitting each body part at once, at least, or twice a week. But I'll get people in shape off of their ability to stick to the program, because the core beliefs I instill in them. I instill core beliefs in my guys to where my team gets ripped and they never go back. Like, I have guys that stay single digit body fat year round because they're like, damn, eating all that shit made me a dick. I don't want to be a dick to my family. Yeah, because eating all that shit made you comfortable. When you got comfortable, you became you weren't all pumped up on yourself and proud of yourself. That comfort made you weren't reflecting on how you felt. Then you projected that onto people.
Dude, I love that. I'm looking at your book, and guys, for anyone watching the video, grab a copy, non-negotiable. It's on Amazon. Where else can they get it?
Yeah, Amazon, fucking, I don't know, Ingram Sparks. There's like all these. You just type in Wes Watson non-negotiable. I get fucking royalty checks like sent from all these different countries all the time. Dude, they make those things so fucking weird. Like, I get these emails. I'm like, what the fuck does this even say? And I guess it'll be for like the Kindle download from like the UK, and it'll be like $28. And then it'll be like the fucking hard copy download from hard copy sale from Australia, $1,500. And like, dude, they need to make that shit cleaner to where it's just like one invoice of all of them. I don't know why they do that, but it's crazy. When you sell a book through Amazon or these other faculties, you're like, someone's fucking up here. This could be way more simple.
Yeah, that's funny. But I mean, it's as you're sharing that in my mind, it's just like really developing that. And the reason this resonates for us, I told you this before, like non-negotiable, that is the word we use in our business with all of our clients. That first transition that everyone needs to experience is going from nice to have to non-negotiable.
The pros operate from commitment. Amateurs operate from feelers. Their fucking feelers get in the way. Their feelings. That's why I got up at 2:45 every morning for close to 15 years now, because that's the thing that's the hardest. So if I want to shut down my negotiations, then I'm going to start at the hard shit. The wake up, the food, the workout. That's what everybody slips on. Let's go to the hardest shit. Wake up, food, workout, vices. Those are the areas that if you want to not negotiate in your business, your relationship, your life, start with the ones that are fully under your control. And then you'll have the ability to actually work with others and work bigger. But until you're fully under control and you master self, you have no chance to even guide anybody. Like, people don't realize nobody just wandered around and ended up at the top of Mount Everest. This is a fucking plan. People like me decipher discipline. Like, if you ask a normal person, how do I get discipline? They would not fucking be able to tell you, but they know they need it. Someone like me who sat in prison for 15 years, I broke down how to get more discipline to the fucking gram, bro. Like, this is me in prison, jotting down in a notebook by hand my macros, fats, proteins, carbs, like for years, and to figure out perfect diets for people in prison, myself, everything, for the longest period of time. These motherfuckers haven't even had a solid month of anything that was difficult. No wonder they're so soft. Imagine if you ran in the most difficult day, no matter how you felt, for close to 15 years, who the fuck you would be. Nobody could stop you. They could slap down a blueprint right here and say, this is how you become an astronaut in 36 months. Can you do it, Wes? I'd be like, yeah, let's do it. I'm not going to miss one step. They'd be like, really? Not going to miss one? No. Check my track record. Do I ever miss? They're like, no. That's what people don't get. Stop missing so much by choice. You're just stripping all your confidence away. Confidence is the byproduct of consistent implementation. If you're not consistently implementing these things, you have a huge ego if you think you're going to be good at it. I never thought I'd be good at speaking on camera. I hated it, but I do it every day because I hate it and I need to get good at it. These motherfuckers avoid the shit they need to get good at and then wonder why they're not good at it. Cognitive dissonance at its finest.
There's a phrase, I can't remember who it's from. I wish I could, because number one, I butcher it. Number two, I'd love to give them credit. But essentially the paraphrase is like, the rewards we seek lie in the cave that we're hesitant to go into.
Hell yeah. The level up we're looking for is on the other side of the work we're not doing. I love it.
Yeah, 100%. And it speaks to that principle that you have purpose over pleasure. I feel like I've quoted that since I started reading this book on like 5 different client calls. It's money. Wes, before I ask you the last question, I've really freaking enjoyed this, but I want to be respectful of your time.
I love this shit so much. Anybody out there, like, who's an intellectual, a businessman, anything like that, like, just anyone, get an outlet, express yourself, talk more, stop walking on eggshells. If you walk on eggshells long enough, you're going to lose your voice entirely. And trust me, you don't want that to happen. Like, exert yourself more. Like, if you're too humble, you'll be underbooked and underpaid. I want you booked and paid, motherfucker. I want people to shine bright. I want to hear what they got to say. I want people to quit making videos with David Goggins' voice or my voice behind them. I want you to make a video with your fucking voice behind it. Right? Don't put Jocko and me and Goggins and fucking Eric Thomas behind your workout video. Put you, motherfucker. Step up.
I love it. Where do you hang out most on social? Where can people find you?
WesWatson.com for coaching. Watson_fit on Instagram. GP Penitentiary Life with Wes Watson on Spotify, iTunes, all that for the podcast. And then the same name for YouTube, GP Penitentiary Life with Wes Watson on YouTube. And then the book, Non-Negotiable, on Amazon. Just Google it. I mean, that shit should have came with a highlighter. Motherfuckers send me that shit, just the whole page highlighted, because honestly, Mike, like, I was in prison dying of negativity, really believing that this is what life was supposed to be. Incessant negative thoughts and imaginary evils just eroding our mind every day and our heart and our soul. You guys, it doesn't have to be that way. Like, honestly, you can structure this mindset that's impervious to any of that negativity, but you have to work for it.
Boom. Guys, all that will be linked in the show notes. Get connected, show some love, all that fun stuff. Wes, last question I have for you. Going all the way back, being that 12-year-old writing the credit bureaus, right? Being that problem solver, kind of going about chasing money the wrong way, getting stuck in your situation, going away for 10 years, all the mental growth that you experienced in that process, coming out and building this rocket ship of a business over the last 4 years, all the way to this moment right now. What's been the biggest lesson that you've learned that has yielded the most results and had the biggest impact on your life and in your business?
Just purely acquire what you admire. Like if you admire something, don't lessen your work ethic ever. If you admire something, relentlessly chase it every fucking day, no matter what people tell you about it, because what you learn along the way from relentlessly chasing something that's difficult to acquire, that's what you're really after. The person that you're creating, chasing it. And it's like the most cliche thing, the path over the destination. But it's so fucking true. Look at the area I've covered since when I got busted till now. It 15 fucking years almost. And the person I've become, everyone could take everything from me. But my work ethic cannot be taken. My mindset cannot be taken. My drive cannot be taken. And that's what everybody's missing. They all have these skills, but they don't have the heart to apply them non-negotiably.
Boom. Wes, I appreciate you, brother. Thanks for joining me.
You're Big Mike. This was lovely. I love it, bro. Thank you.
100%.